Okay, so I'm delighted today to welcome my buddy who is literally a stone's throw away. I know this because he talks with this yam yam accent and all the rest of it, and supports dodgy football teams and things like that. Nick Hill from Serve to Sell. In my eyes, when it comes to sales, the absolute genius when it comes to writing sales letters and processes and things like that. This is the go-to guy. This is the guy that people pick up the phone and go, oh, I can't make any money. And he transforms them into absolute geniuses. I was lucky enough to meet Nick last year in London. And when he started speaking, it was obvious that he was closer to my neck of the woods than he was the London neck of the woods. So we got chatting and we've become good friends who talk an awful lot about digital marketing. And I'm absolutely delighted to say that yesterday morning he sent me a message and I went, great podcast. And he said he'd come on and have a chat to us. Nick, welcome, mate.
Thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, our kid.
Are we going to have subtitles for this?
I'm hoping we won't need too many subtitles.
Yeah, with a video version, yeah?
Yeah, it'll be the likes of Marcus Murphy that will be asked to transcribe if that is the case.
Yeah, no, I'll put my best voice on today for you, Steve, okay?
Thank you very much. It's your posh voice.
I'll talk very slowly, let people catch up with what we're talking about, what I'm talking about. Yeah, anyway, thanks for setting this up. It's always nice to I love to talk, as you know, so it's always nice to jump on a podcast and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant stuff. Nick, Serve to Sell. Tell us a little bit about the story behind Serve to Sell and what you do.
Okay, so we'll keep it short and sweet, right? We've only got 15 minutes, so we'll leave it light. So obviously, as you know, for people that don't know me, there are lots of those people out there. Serve to Sell is a mission of mine, going back probably 10 years ago now, when I started out in the world of sales, learning what was working, what wasn't working. I actually think of myself as a bit of I've always been a bit of a lazy salesperson, as in I've never been one of these salespeople when I was out and out salesperson that wanted to make 100 calls a day, right? And we know there's those kind of people out there, and I salute you if you're one of those people. But there are certain type of character, aren't they? Very hardcore sales. Yeah. So I was always sort of like, yeah, I want to be a bit smarter because of the laziness, and therefore I was always very interested in figuring out ways to improve my own sales process in the roles I was in. And then as that grew, I've become more involved in learning about marketing and digital marketing and automation and funnels and pipelines, all the amazing stuff that we might talk about today. So that's where my journey led me to. And I've grown a couple of businesses on the way. So with other people. So we grew a couple of, I got into a lot of coaching from the corporate world of sales, fell into, through a few mates of mine, got into the coaching world, grew a couple of businesses that are actually still running today, you know, doing solid revenue, 7 figures plus. So I've had that experience of kind of being involved in sales, but also being involved in the bootstrapped 0 to 7-figure business in the coaching world. So that gave me a lot of inspiration to eventually start my own kind of version of that. Passion is obviously sales process. So we work with clients now typically in the agency space, but we've also got some tech clients, but they're mainly service providers. And we help them with their lead generation, sales technology, so sales stack, tech stack, sales process, and then even leading that on into the actual conversational element of how they move potential prospect to leads through their customer journey to becoming a client, and for their core offer. So that's that. So it's quite a bit of lots of different stuff which I enjoy. It's not just we just do sales training. It's not that at all. It's we look at the customer value journey, and we look at lead generation, sales process optimization, and the technology behind that as well.
Great stuff. So you and I both digital marketer certified partners. Obviously, the customer journey is something that you and I have discussed at length on a few trips to and from London, sketching things out on the backs of Burger King packets and things like that. So,
And
um, as you know, I'm going to ask you two questions today, and we're going to start with the what doesn't work for you in digital marketing at the moment. What's the one thing that you can say that you've seen happening? And I know that you've got one set up because you were ranting before we came on. The one thing that you would say is the absolute don't do this, it's horrible.
Okay. So, yeah, I woke up this morning to have a look at, what was going on in the world. And I would say it was not just this morning, but it's obviously this morning we're having the conversation. So it seems to be every morning at the moment that I woke up to look at LinkedIn and found another ton of connection requests of people that I don't really think I need to be connected with or really have anything to offer me at all, with a load of messages making out like we're best mates and a load of nonsense really. And yeah, this will be a bit of a rant, but I think I will say this with a caveat of I love LinkedIn and it's the number one B2B growth platform on the planet without a shadow of doubt. But I think my bugbear at the moment is the misuse of LinkedIn and this kind of spray and pray tactic that we're seeing at the moment. And clearly being sensitive to the current climate, I'm also aware there's a lot of people out there at the moment who aren't sure how to get clients and they're struggling. So it's clearly, we've seen an increase, a definite, I've seen an increase, and I'm in the scope of things, I'm pretty much a nobody out there in the big wide world. I wouldn't class myself as a thought leader on LinkedIn. I don't post a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. I don't have that many followers, but I'm getting so many connections. I wake up being like a celebrity because I've got all these people trying to be my friends, right, on LinkedIn. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not Facebook. We're not trying to, we definitely want to build rapport with our potential prospects. That's a given, right? We want to engage, and I think LinkedIn's a great place to engage, to build rapport, and to start to get into conversation about something that you can offer. But I think there's like three key elements in the tactics that people are using in LinkedIn right now that are fundamentally flawed.
Yep. No, I agree with you. I wake up feeling like a rock star. It's like everybody wants to know me. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I've found as well is that they'll hop between different social media platforms. So they'll find you on LinkedIn, and then they'll suddenly realize that you're part of a group that they're a member of on Facebook, and they'll be like, I need to be friends with this person, So I've got people that request friend requests, and I know on LinkedIn part of the algorithm is dealing with friend requests or contact requests. And if you have too many of them built up, it will affect how you show up in searches, because it will show that you're not active on the platform. And I wish Facebook was the same, because I must have sitting waiting at the moment about 250 friend requests, and they're people that I don't know who they are.
Can I drop this? Can I drop this in now? Oh, friends.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah. But no, I totally agree with you. I as you know, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. And one of the huge things for me is the fact that the people that you're connecting with, you have actually connected with, rather than just say, I want to connect with you. There's a reason for it. And I mean, as you know, I'm a strong member of the Chamber of Commerce in the Black Country, and I get a lot of requests from people who are part of the chamber, and I don't mind that. More than happy with that, because we have a central interest and all the rest of it. But the big thing for me is you need SEO on your website, and it's like, maybe so, but I'm not going to just let you become my SEO expert.
I mean, I'm just literally right here now looking at some of the. I do try and go through, by the way, and like delete people I don't know and accept if I do, and I get into conversation. And I'll be honest, sometimes I get into a bit of trolling if I'm a little bit sort. If I've got a spare 5 minutes before, I might go back to someone and say, have you really sent that to me? Is that a personalised message, or is that just a template? Because I do look at some of these and go, you're not asking me any specific questions about me as a person. And actually, I think that's something that, Marcus, who we love, Marcus Murphy, who's a massive thought leader on LinkedIn. If you listen to this, definitely check him out as somebody to aspire to in terms of a profile and content marketing, all that kind of stuff, and how to do things properly. And he talks about it. If you're going to do this kind of connection request tactic, this is a bit of advice right now. If you're going to do this, because we do this work for clients, we do lead generation, and we've got like an agency out of that now that's just doing lead gen purely. And we use LinkedIn, but in a slightly different way to what I'm seeing people using it right now for. And Marcus says this really well, which is there's two ways to do this strategy. Either just send somebody a connection request and just leave it there for now, and then engage in the future through your content, through your articles, through your thought leadership, and connect with them. Or if you're going to send them some kind of a message in the connection request or some kind of follow-up message, personalize it. Yeah. You know, take the time out if that's the strategy. And I think a lot of people do this spray and pray because they think they need quantity. They need quantity. And actually, if the message was right, if they had a decent angle, and if they had a decent targeting, as in they knew exactly who they wanted to go for in terms of their prospects, and they had the right offer and the right angle, they could personalize that message every single time, take a minute or two with a template, but personalize it, make it interesting. And I responded to someone today and said, look, his message to me was, in this current day age, I'm noticing people aren't having enough conversation on LinkedIn, just connecting. So I want to have a conversation with you. And I said, the irony here is, X person, this looks like a template. So I think the reason why people aren't engaging in conversation is because it looks cookie cut out every time. I said, I as an avatar, and the people that I want to engage with, and my clients' avatars, they want it to be about them. They want to feel important. You know, what am I struggling with? What's going on in my day? Let's build rapport. And it's that kind of approach. So I think that's a definite issue right now. Is, you know, there's a tactic. I wouldn't say strategy, but there's a tactic that's being used on LinkedIn where it's like these connection requests and then a message or a message in the connection request and a follow-up message about 2 days later and then 3 days later. And we all know it now, right? We all know that kind of that formula. And I actually wonder how there must be some businesses it works for, but I think a lot of them it can't be that effective in the scope of it. And I actually think there's far better ways to utilize LinkedIn if you're trying to do cold outreach, as simple as viewing somebody's profile, right? If I, and we do this for clients, view the profile of the person you want to talk to, that in itself creates a bit of intrigue and a bit of curiosity for your prospect. Just the fact because you're looking at them, aren't you? You do a bit of research. You're viewing the profile.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that I do. You know, I mean, because I've got the paid account and all the rest of it, I can see who's viewed my profile. So when friend request comes in, I'm like, well, you didn't even bother to look to see who it was before you sent it. You know, it doesn't matter whether you've managed to scrape some information from my profile or whatever. You didn't look at it, so you know you've somehow circumvented things and found me and just decided to abuse my inbox.
Yeah, I mean we've got stats on this from all the campaigns we're running, but actually most of the time I think it's like 60% in certain, 56%, depends on sector and depends on the type of business you're trying to track, right? In terms of how effective that might be, but it's a general from about half of the time that you go out there and view profiles, people will view your back. They'll have a look back because they're interested like that at that point. Well, who's this person? Who's this Nick Hill at Serve to Sell? And why is he looking at my profile? And then if you've got your profile set up in the right way, you've got your profile optimized to be a thought leader and have all the right offers set up and the right content set up, that you'll find that in itself can create some position and rapport without the need for all these these chain messages. And then send them an email. Send them an email. Email them. There are other ways to stand out. I think messages is becoming like email was about 5-10 years ago, where it's just become a place of spam, right? Where people are stopping to read their inboxes now because they're getting too much spam. And ironically now, email's getting better.
Yeah, email's got better because everybody's moved onto the social media platforms.
Yeah, and I think part of it is you've got to be, when the platform is the big platform, you can also stand out. There are ways to stand out. And I think that's my thing that's not working right now. There's too many people doing the same thing on LinkedIn, and it's not exactly the thing that works out well anyway.
Okay. Right, I don't think we need any translation for that. I think the message came across quite clear.
Oh, I'm glad. I thought I was being a bit polite about that.
So with that in mind, what's the one thing that you're seeing real success with at the moment? What's the one thing that people could really sort of like, take away and turn around and say, right, this is the way forward. This is going to get good results.
Yeah. For me, and I think this is definitely, again, down to the climate, it's very much about the current climate we're in, is authenticity. So I'm seeing as a consumer, as a business, working with clients, seeing what's out there, what's going on in the marketplace in terms of marketing, advertising. The whole sort of approach for a lot of companies, big and small, has had to change, and it's a good thing, and it's become more authentic now. We've seen a lot more authentic marketing, authentic advertising, not hiding behind some kind of corporate banner. People have had to get real. Businesses have had to show up, offer value, help the community, big and small. And I think what we're seeing right now is authenticity in that respect. We're also seeing authenticity in the fact that when for example, I'll use obviously our work that we do in niche, and we're trying to get the attention of prospects who are also very busy. Some of these people are, especially when we're going after big brands, the senior marketing teams at big brands, they've got a team that are furloughed. They're doing 3 or 4 different people's roles. Authenticity in that respect means being honest about what you're trying to do. Be honest about why you're trying to get in touch with them from a marketing perspective. Be honest about that and be upfront about it in the right way. So a lot of times what we're seeing working well at the moment in our lead gen is just subtle things like, look, we know you're busy, so let's cut to the chase. Just something as simple as that. That authenticity of, subtle authenticity there in that message means a difference. Actually builds rapport, because they go, actually, I can breathe a sigh of relief. This email is not going to try and lead me down the garden path. They want to build some bit of rapport, but they also want to, get into the conversation, get into the nitty-gritty. And actually, I think at the moment people want some authenticity in their marketing. They want to feel that they're not being messed around and wasting loads of time.
Yeah, there was there was a post put out. I think it was sort of like the third month of lockdown by Doug Foley, and Doug pointed out that a lot of the big brands were all just putting out the same message. Nobody knew how to quite deal with what was going on, and the message was like, "We love you, we care about you, we'll be back," type thing, and you'll be back, and it'll all be okay. And the real thing for me at that point was the brands that were doing really, really well. And our buddy Scott Cunningham, who's a genius when it comes to e-commerce, he very much turned around and said, look, it's the people that are sticking their head above the parapet. It's those that are turning around and saying, look, we want to do this with you, we want to do this, and just getting down to the nitty gritty that were successful. And those that cut their budgets and so on, that they very much took a bit of a nosedive, and that was always going to happen. You cut your marketing budget, you cut your sales budget, and I hate to say it, you don't get as much marketing, you don't get as much, much in sales.
Let's be honest, in every economic downfall, there are always going to be casualties, but there's also the businesses that capitalise on that situation by ramping things up, right? And I think if you did that in an unethical way, then you'd see these brands would soon be caught with their pants down in this current climate. So I think you've still got to be authentic in that. And I think, and I'm not suggesting that we go out and start to just send marketing information, just pitching people left, right, and centre. There's still got to be a sort of element of build value, build rapport. But I think it's authenticity for me. I'm seeing in all aspects of marketing, from high level branding, TV advertising, programmatic advertising, all the way down to email marketing, LinkedIn, when it's working well. We won't go there, right? Which is, well, look, the LinkedIn that's working well at the moment is thought leadership. Effectively, to be a thought leader, you need to be authentic in everything you say and do, in your marketing, in your content, in your videos, in your posts.
Absolutely.
Everything needs to be truly authentic. Obviously, it needs to have value. But actually, being authentic doesn't mean just being a people pleaser. It means having an opinion, being able to back it up clearly with some facts.
Hugely.
And that sometimes means you might be a little bit divisive. And again, that sometimes people can struggle with that. being a bit marmite. And I think in this current climate, it's okay to have an opinion and to be. There's plenty of people out there hating on the world of opinions, and there's a lot of this kind of offence culture that we're in right now, taking offence. But I'm a big believer in, you take offence, not give. So I think if you're doing your marketing the right way, have your opinion. Don't worry about the trolls or the haters, but be authentic, and you'll soon. And if you're authentic, you stick to your mission and values. That's an important piece. I think people like Scott, Marcus, Doug, they're all very big advocates of a business having strong mission, strong vision, strong values. I think if you've got those three, and they take some time sometimes to get to, then that's where the authenticity often comes from. If you've got those three, if you've really spent the time to figure out, your whys, your who's, your where's, and what that means to you as an individual, as a business owner, you can be very authentic then about what you say and what you do in your marketing as well.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And you've got so many companies out there that don't know how to adjust. And I had a conversation with another digital marketer certified partner, David Justice, who David's been around since the beginning of time. He is not even before marketing. It's just like David was making tea for the dinosaurs. But
Neolithic copywriter.
Absolutely, but he's extremely knowledgeable, and if you ever have a conversation with him, he's well worth sitting down at a dinner table with. But the conversation that I had with David was at the beginning of lockdown. The one thing that came out was that people were panicking. People were cutting budgets left, right, and centre because they didn't know what was going to happen. This had never happened before in our lifetime, and so on. And the conversation that I had with David was, he turned around and he said, well, they say it's never happened before, but it has. During the Great Depression. And I was just like, I wasn't sure if he was speaking firsthand or not, but he knew an awful lot about it. And he turned around and said, have you ever heard of RC Cola? And I was like, no. And he went, RC Cola was one of the biggest brands in the US in the beginning of the last century. And I was like, okay, that's really, really interesting. He said, and what happened was when the Great Depression hit, they cut their advertising budget and they pulled everything back in because they were worried about what was going to happen. He said one of their competitors didn't. They continued to advertise. They got into debt doing it, but they continued to advertise and they continued to push their message because people were still buying, because the message that they were putting across was, if you drink this, it'll make you feel better. And that company was called Coca-Cola. And I think we can all say that, you've heard of Coca-Cola, you haven't heard of RC Cola. So, when you think about that side of things, it's very interesting to put the two together and say, rather than stop advertising completely, rather than pull your budgets, just think about the message and how you're putting it out. Because I think that's the really, really important thing at the moment, is making sure that people are aware that they do still need to, communicate with people to get them to buy stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. There's always opportunity if you look in the right place. Yeah, no, I that's top. I like that story. Yeah, I'll use that one. Thanks, David.
Yeah. I've used it in articles. I've been like, well, my mate David Justice said. Brilliant, Nick. Thank you so much. These conversations are great for me. I love it because I just get to chat to my mates. But the information that comes out of the great minds of advertising and sales and marketing, it's all worthwhile. And I'm sure that people get value out of what we do with this little podcast. And I just want to say a huge thank you for giving me some of your time. I know you're really pushed at the moment with your schedule, so I really appreciate the time that you've given us. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, Nick, what's the best way? Send you a dodgy connection request on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn connection request. Give me your best pitch, and I'll troll you back, and then we'll have some banter. No, obviously, you can connect on LinkedIn or email nick@servetosell.co.uk, whatever. I mean, anybody's got any questions on any stuff, always happy to help and, help you out and obviously your audience. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, matey. Really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nick.